Hello, how are you today? It's great to have you here. Welcome. And I want to start this video with a question for you. Have you found yourself going through some sort of darkness or internal disruption or maybe an identity crisis, and suddenly you find that you are crying at kind gestures, that you're crying at the beautiful things, that you're crying at nice things, that basically beautiful things make you cry or beautiful things feel like they hurt? Because if you do, this is one of the clearest signs that you are well on your way out of that crisis, of that period of disruption, that you are getting very close to the exit point. And that's what I want to talk about today. Something happens at the end of those processes of change, of transition, of internal transformation, which is that we've been dealing with heaviness, with suffering, and maybe crying through all of it. And then at some point, someone says something kind, or maybe someone smiles at you, or maybe someone asks something thoughtful, and you break down, and maybe you cry. And you don't cry because it hurts, but because it's actually beautiful. And you may even think, but why am I crying at something nice? Is there something wrong with me? I had the idea for this video because this is something that happened to me and that really threw me off, especially at the beginning, until I realized what was really happening. So I want to share that with you. For those of you who don't know, I went through a period of 6 years where I was going through an identity crisis, and during this time I was very much emotionally reactive to unpleasant things, to problems, to things not working the way they were supposed to be working, to ugly things, to harsh words. And even if they were just drops, like little droplets of these negative things, but they burned, they really affected me. They felt very raw, and I cried a lot. And I always say that in those 6 years, I probably cried more in that period of 6 years than I did in the previous 40 years. And then at some point I realized that as time went by, it's like, okay, it seems that I'm not crying, I'm not reacting so often at these negative, unpleasant things, at problems in life, but I've noticed that something weird is happening, that I'm actually crying, I'm actually having this emotional reactiveness when nice things happen, when good things happen, when people have nice gestures with me. So I started actually doubting a little bit. It's like, well, I thought I was doing better, and now I find myself in this emotional upheaval, in this emotional reactiveness. So am I going backwards? So just to give you some examples of the things that were creating this emotional response, I go for daily walks, and there was a lady that sometimes we came across each other. So she was one of those familiar strangers, and we had very standard polite conversations. And one day she greeted me with a hug, and she gave me her address. She said she invited me to her place. She said she would love to have me there as a guest. And boy, did that make me cry in that moment. Or another example, during the winter, I used to go ice skating every morning. And during the morning slot, there were a group of other people who were also regulars, and they were quite older than me. So one day they wanted to take a group picture, and I don't like being in photos. So I tried to hide a bit in the corner. And there was this gentleman, and he came and very gently grabbed my hand and brought me to the center of the frame of the picture of the group. And he said, "Come on, I mean, you have to be here. It's been such a joy for us to have you with us." And boy, did that make me cry. Or another example, there are 3 or 4 abandoned cats that I feed them. And one day, one of them was very cuddly. She was headbutting me. She wanted affection. And boy, did that make me cry. So what is really happening here? We tend to think that the hardest part of a crisis, of a process of internal disruption, is when we are at our lowest, when we are at our worst, when everything hurts. But actually, there is enormous fragility in those moments when good happens to you. And we feel fragile in those moments because, for starters, because we don't know how to hold good. We don't know how to hold kind. We don't know how to hold beautiful. We don't know how to receive these things because we've been immersed for such a long time in the opposite side of reality, that when we start getting showered with good, it's very disorienting. So this fragility that we sometimes feel in the face of good, of kind, is not emotional dysregulation, as I thought in my case, is not dysfunction, is actually contact. It's contact of old and new, it's contact of inside and outside. So let me explain this. When we are going through these stages in life of transformation, of change or transition, there are old layers of us and there are new layers of us. But this change doesn't happen this way. It's not that new layers push the old layers away. That's not the movement. The movement is more like this. Yeah. And it's at this point, at this intersection, where contact happens between new and old. And it's at this point, at this intersection point, where new becomes real. It becomes as real as old, as what we are used to. And it becomes real after being unreachable, after being even unimaginable for such a long time. The beauty, the kindness, the softness, the grace that you're starting to experience coming towards you, these are not only external gestures that other people make towards you, they are reflections in a psychological mirror. And these reflections are becoming available to you because you are available to them, because you are available to receive the beauty, the softness, the kindness, and so on. And you're available to receive these good things because you know, even if it's not at a conscious level, but you know that these good things on the outside, the beauty, the softness, the kindness, the grace, are a match to the beauty, the softness, the kindness, the grace that are on your inside. So there is a contact between the inside world and the outside world in this intersection of old and new. And this is what you're experiencing. The good things that are happening outside, that they are moving you, they're touching you, they're maybe creating this emotional response, they are precisely that. They are a response to what you are showing. They are a response to what you are becoming in this process of change, of transformation. So what happens is that there are new layers coming to the surface, and other people can see those layers, even if and even when you can't see them, or you can't see them yet because you are so familiar with the old layers that you're a bit, let's say, blind to the new ones. What's happening and what you're experiencing is the world responding to this change in you, to this emergence of new layers, the world responding to that in real time. Usually it's us that we come to this process with a bit of a delay, but the world can respond in real time. And other people around you are responding to these new layers of you. They are drawn to those layers. They are willing and ready to give you kindness, to give you tenderness, as if it was the most natural thing in the world. And when this happens, you cry and you are moved at a very deep level, not because there's something wrong with you, but because you realize that you are being seen beyond your struggle, that you're being seen beyond whatever painful experience you have been coming through during months, during years, during this process of crisis, of transformation, of disruption. You realize that other people are seeing in you things that are not yet very clear to yourself, but that you know that they exist. And the more people see these layers and respond to you, the more these layers continue to emerge, the more these layers continue to emerge, the more people are going to respond to those layers being visible. So what's happening here at this intersection point is almost like a beautiful process of alchemy between inside and outside, between new and old. A process of internal crisis doesn't only distort the painful, it also distorts the beautiful. And when you start to feel beauty, when you start to register connection, to register joy, to register kindness, when these things start to come your way, this is a sign that you are near the exit of this crisis process. And I've said in other videos that the exit of or the end of an internal personal crisis is not like being in a tunnel and then one moment you're in and the next moment you're out. It's not like that. The exit or the end is actually a space in time that can last months, maybe can last a year, maybe can last longer, I don't know, but it has to be a longer space in time, this exit period, because this is where your inner world is going to start stabilizing itself. So what you're experiencing now with this emotional reactiveness to good, to kind, to beautiful is a sign that this process of internal stabilization, that is a clue for end of the crisis, that this is already happening. And I know that it doesn't feel like you're stable, right? Because you're having these outbursts, because you're crying at random things. But it really is a process of stabilization, because what's happening here is that you are going from defense to receptiveness. So you're going from defense of the old layers, of the old version, to receptiveness of the new. So this reaction that you're having is not emotional dysregulation, it's actually being emotionally available and settling into your new layers, into your next layers. Also, sometimes we think that the exit or the end of an internal crisis will come or is equal to not feeling any pain. We think, well, how will I know that I'm finally out of this when I don't suffer, when the pain is gone, when I am not emotionally triggered? But it's not like that. The exit space, the end space of a personal crisis is actually in your ability to sense your new layers, those new layers that are emerging. Even if you sense them through other people first, through the reactions that other people have towards you, through the gestures that they have to you, the exit space, the end space to that crisis is in your ability to let these layers peek through and shine, even without you realizing, but other people are going to realize, other people are going to see them as something that's impossible to miss. And this is when you know that you are in that exit space, that you're coming to the end of it. So if you find yourself crying at good things, at kind things, don't fight the emotion, don't judge it, don't judge yourself. My suggestion is let it overwhelm you and celebrate, because you are getting closer to the exit. So this is something worth celebrating. There is something new in you that is finally here. And think about how many times during the worst moments of darkness, the worst moments of crisis, how many times do we desperately almost pray for the new to be here? Well, it's finally here. So celebrate that. It's finally here, it's real, and that's why the emotion is so overwhelming, because it is real. And what you're experiencing as overwhelm is actually the beautiful alchemy of intersection. If any of this spoke to you, I have other videos in this channel about some of these transitional moods or transitional experiences that we go through during internal disruption. I also have a free masterclass on this channel. It's called Archetypes of Disconnection, and there I talk about these old layers of us that come at a junction with the new layers. So I'll put a link to that masterclass in the description box and somewhere here. And if you are in that season of life when you are crying at the good things after going, or as you are going through internal disruption, through transformation, then subscribe to this channel, because very soon I'm going to be sharing more details about this process of what I call self-rescue, which is basically letting these new layers emerge, and about the process of meeting these new layers. This will be through a course that will be available very soon. All the details will be here and will be also on my Instagram. I'm going to leave it here for today, and I want to leave you with this thought, that you're not emotionally dysregulated if you're crying at good things. What you're experiencing is this point of contact. You're experiencing this beautiful alchemy of intersection, okay? So stay with that thought. I will see you next time. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.